One sentence, 16 words. And that was enough to shatter the silence of the night at the military barracks where Jimin and Jungkook, two BTS members, are serving their national duty. But it wasn't the sound of gunfire, nor a military command, that shook the atmosphere. What echoed that night was only the soft yet emotionally laden voice of a friend, and its impact was felt around the world. Words that were never meant to hurt, instead turned into wounds that cut into the deepest corners of Park Jimin's heart. What really happened? How could just one conversation create a storm of tears among the army? This incident didn't happen on a grand stage or under the glare of camera lights, but in the stillness of a military training night. When other soldiers were worn out from routine, these two young men found themselves in a conversation that ultimately unearthed many long-buried truths. Jungkook, long known as a figure full of confidence and positive energy, said something not only touching but also filled with hidden fear. That sentence, whose source cannot be definitively confirmed by the public, contained a worry that their relationship might never be the same after their military service ends. Jimin did not respond with anger. He didn't reply, didn't argue. He just stayed silent. But his silence was not without meaning. His body remained in place, but his soul seemed to wander, searching for answers to a question he never expected to face from his closest friend. His tears fell slowly, without sound. This wasn't crying for the public, not an expression packaged for fans. It was a pure expression from a human who felt betrayed by doubt. Within hours, news of the emotional conversation spread like wildfire on social media. Armies from around the world responded with intense emotions. Tearful hashtags flooded Twitter, speculations emerged on TikTok, and deep discussion forums appeared on Reddit. Many asked, what exactly did Jungkook say? And why did it hurt Jimin so deeply? Online sources described the emotional situation as nearly theatrical. An anonymous soldier stated that the atmosphere in the barracks drastically changed, not because of military orders, but because of the energy lost between two friends. Many soldiers who didn't know them personally even admitted to bowing their heads in silence, feeling emotions difficult to describe. But beyond the public emotional euphoria, an equally important question emerged. Are we witnessing reality? Or are we merely caught in an emotionally constructed narrative? Until now, there has been no official statement from the South Korean military, HYBE labels, or big hit music. No recording or authentic evidence supports the story. So why do we believe it? This question opens a space for deeper reflection on how the public, especially fans, consume information in the digital era. In the atmosphere of fandom, stories like this are not just news, but collective emotional experiences. They cry not only because Jimin might be heartbroken, but because they see that even the idols they view as perfect are also fragile humans. Social psychologists call this phenomenon emotional contagion, the rapid spread of emotions within an online community connected by shared love and empathy for an idol figure. When one story touches the heart, thousands or even millions can be swept into that emotional wave, regardless of its factual truth. But this doesn't mean we must turn a blind eye to the possibility that this is just a narrative crafted to maintain public engagement during BTS's hiatus. Some media observers call this part of a narrative communication strategy, where personal stories of group members are built in dramatic and human ways to remain relevant in public consciousness. Especially since this moment arose as their military service nears its end, a crucial time that can be used to build anticipation and sympathy. But what if it's real? What if Jungkook's words were a true manifestation of fear over a change he cannot control? What if Jimin truly felt abandoned by someone he had long relied on? If so, then this is not merely a communication strategy. This is a real portrait of how emotional pressure, even among those who appear strong and stable, can create cracks in even the closest of relationships. A few days after the incident, the atmosphere in the military barracks reportedly had not fully recovered. Jimin appeared more physically active, as if trying to divert the pain with routine. Jungkook, on the other hand, seemed quieter, more introspective. But that morning, a letter was found in Jimin's locker. Not long, not signed, just one sentence. If you knew how much I wanted time to stop for a moment, you would understand why I was afraid to speak that night. That letter became a turning point in the story. But for Jimin, and for fans who followed the story, it was enough to realize that the feelings were not one-sided. They were both hurt. They were both trying to endure. And they were both, ultimately, just humans learning to face loss. The public's reaction shifted. From tears to hope. From speculation to reflection. From merely trying to find out what Jungkook said to understanding why he said it. And this may be the most important lesson of all, that even in the glamorous world of entertainment, the most powerful stories are the ones that portray humanity in its most honest form. But here we stand, in the middle of an emotional storm surrounding millions of armies, wondering, did this really happen? Or are we caught in a narrative crafted to stir hearts? One sentence, one moment of silence, and one anonymous letter have been enough to ignite the entire internet with waves of sympathy. But let's pause for a moment. Let's ask ourselves, are we witnessing a sincere emotional truth, or merely spectators in a digital drama cleverly designed? We live in an era where the line between fact and fiction is increasingly blurred. Information spreading on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and other platforms can easily shape public opinion, even before official confirmation exists. So it's natural to ask, did the emotional incident between Jimin and Jungkook really happen? Or is this just a fragment of a narrative crafted to sustain the relevance of a group on hiatus due to national duty? Why is there no visual documentation? Why has HYBE labels still not responded? Why do mainstream media outlets seem cautious, only reporting based on unverifiable sources? Does this mean we've been too quick to believe what we want to believe? Or maybe, do we want to believe it because the story offers us something far greater than mere news? It gives us connection, shared sadness, and a reminder of the humanity in the idols we love. Let's reflect more deeply. If this story is only fiction, should we feel deceived? Or should we feel that this story, real or not, has triggered empathy and meaningful discourse? Are we truly crying for Jimin and Jungkook? Or are we crying because we see a reflection of ourselves in their fear? Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of being left behind by someone we consider home. And if this incident is indeed part of an emotional communication strategy, is that wrong? Is it wrong if such a story can unite millions of people in one shared emotion, love, care, and reflection? In the midst of a noisy, polarized digital world, a touching narrative can become an emotional bridge, no matter what its motives are. But now is the time for us, as information consumers, to level up. We can't just be story enthusiasts. We must become truth seekers. We must dare to question, not just follow emotional tides. Who first spread the story? What are the motives behind it? Why was its timing so aligned with the nearing end of their military service? Try asking yourself, did I believe it immediately when I first read this news? Did I look for a second, third, or fourth source to verify its truth? Did I res-hair this information because I was sure or because I was moved by emotion? If someday it turns out none of this ever happened, will I feel deceived? Such reflective thinking is vital, not just to maintain the integrity of public narratives, but also to protect our own mental health as digital citizens. We too often ride emotional waves, only to later realize we are swimming in a sea of assumptions. But if this story is true, if Jungkook's words truly hurt Jimin, and if that small letter was really written from a heart full of fear, then we are witnessing an invaluable portrait of humanity. Behind all the achievements, cameras, and grand stages, there are two young men trying to navigate their friendship under unseen pressure. And if that is the case, we owe them empathy, not euphoria, in a world where it's increasingly hard to distinguish the authentic from the constructed. We all have a responsibility to filter, to verify, and most importantly, to to reflect. Because what we read, share, and believe will determine the direction of our public discourse in the future. Will we be a society that is wise and discerning in dealing with information, or merely consumers of emotions easily swayed by algorithms?